This might seem like a solution looking for a problem, but there is a small subsection of 80 owners that actually have an issue with swaybar brackets that get mangled when they're off-roading. This truck doesn't have that issue because this truck doesn't see really serious rock crawling. I'm not a rock crawler. I don't live in the rocks. I do a lot of off-roading, but as you can see, my rear axle doesn't see a tremendous amount of damage because, well, I don't do a lot of boulder hopping. But what you will notice is the location of the sway bar bracket here, and that it's lower. It actually sits at a slightly different rotation, because on this truck and most trucks that have a 4-inch or higher lift, 4 to 6 inch lift, in order to correct the pinion angle, you get longer rear control arms, and that changes the pinion angle, which changes the direction that the sway bar mounts. So for some, and I'll be linking the photo of the absolutely destroyed sway bar mounts, there is a solution that I actually had a customer ask me to develop, and after giving a lot of thought, figured, here's a good way to solve this. And so that's where this came up. So these are actually aluminum sway bar brackets that are actually going to be used to replace the steel brackets, the stamped folded metal brackets that are actually on the truck right now. These are 6061 machine billet aluminum, and they're designed to be used with the OEM bushings. And of course, while I'm there, might as well change out the end link bushings too, and this way we have all new rubber for the rear sway bar going forward. So this is just going to be just a real basic, easy install for these new brackets. All right, first start of the process is actually going to remove the sway bar from the end links. All right, now that the nut is off, you can go ahead and pull out the bolt so that we can actually. Next up is removing the D bushings on the back of the sway bar. Simple 12mm ratchet is all you need, and you're going to be taking it off from both sides. Now that you've already taken off the end links, once you take the sway bar brackets off on the back here, the whole sway bar just drops. And now with that, we have a sway bar that has been dropped down, easy peasy. Next up, the brackets themselves come off, as does the OEM rubber that's on there. Now the rubber that I have on there was replaced, well, I want to say probably about 9 years ago when I did the 4-inch lift on this truck. So I don't anticipate them being completely destroyed, but we're about to find out. Alright, new bar cleaned up and new bushings installed. Actually, still using the same sleeve that was in there before because it's perfectly fine. But those are good to go, both sides, so now it's ready to be installed onto the axle. Alright, sway bar is going in after it's been cleaned up. Went ahead and cleaned off the mounting face for the bracket that's on the axle itself. First step is the debushing goes on. It's a little split in there, just goes over, real simple, nothing to it. The bracket itself goes into place. There's it doesn't make a difference which side the bracket goes onto, and so you have the the new hardware that goes onto it. They're actually socket head cap screws. No longer going to be using the hex screws that actually were part of the vehicle. And so we're just going to go ahead and mount in the bracket cap over the bushing, and then the whole thing is going to go up and be loosely bolted into the bracket itself. We're going to get one side kind of cinched in, and then we'll go back and cinch in the other side. All right, so the Swaybar caps have gone on, new rubber, new hardware. The hardware itself uses a 6mm Allen, and we went ahead and torqued those things down. The torque value on them is 13 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench that goes to 13 foot-pounds, you can use a inch-pounds, and that converts out to 156 inch-pounds if you have to go that way. If you don't have either, I would say these would be snug down to hand tight. Is going to be mounted onto the Swaybar, and so there's a split already in it. Hey kitty.